the intro. What did they change now? Are you kidding me? There it goes. They moved
Don't
everything
curse.
around.
We can't curse the first 2 minutes yet.
You think I give a shit?
Oh, there you go.
It's time for Red Salad Review with your hosts, Wayne Moon, Greg Narlo, and Lou Max.
Very nice.
Welcome to Red Cell Review. Lou, you've been asking for these guys to come on this show for quite a while now.
Yes, I have.
These gentlemen, please.
Okay, so I don't know how this is going to show up on YouTube. So I'm just going to say that the gentleman with the long hair is my dear good friend and one of my favorite guitar players that I not only have had the pleasure of knowing, but befriending and performing with, Mr. Mark M.E. Edwards.
Yeah.
Beneath him, the gentleman with the beard that will slap you silly if you look at him the wrong way.
Come on now.
Bassist John Kong Benucci. And
What's up?
also, along with him, calling in from the great state of Georgia, drummer George Genera. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 3/4 of the band Overlorde in the hizzy.
Very cool.
Hey.
Yay.
Hello,
Thanks for
hello,
having
hello.
What's going on?
I
Thank
give you the
very
sign
much.
of the hammer, but you guys have credibility. Anyways, let's go.
Oh, Jesus. Why do
Oh,
that?
I got right there, Lou. Right there.
Okay, that's the hammer that matters. Wilmere, very nice.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, man.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I was listening to your album today. What is the name of the album? I'm drawing a
Awakens the
blank.
Fury.
That's right, Awaken the Fury. Sorry, I have so much going on today. Bear with me. It's very good. I mean, you guys, we're friends with Bobby Lucas, and you worked with him before, but now you got a new singer in your band, George. I can never pronounce his last name. Somebody help me.
Zolicus.
All right, it's close enough for me. But I've known George, that George, not this George that's on the show, but that George. I've known him for a long time because my old band Phoenix Rain used to do shows with him on and off all the time over in Queens and Brooklyn and all that stuff. So I've known him for a very long time. So I was surprised to see that he was, singing with you guys. I remember him back in the Zandel days. So
Yeah.
his vocal is always like, I always wanted to be in a band with a vocalist like he is. So I was really glad to see he's working with you guys. How did that all come to me?
I hope you strive to get that one day, Wayne. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. But
Never too late.
How did you guys get in touch with Zandel? With
Sandel.
George?
Oh, it was actually, it was me. First off, we had seen Zandel when we played at Power Mad. It was our first official show, reunited in 2001.
Yeah.
And they were on the bill that weekend also. And I remember thinking what a great presentation they had. Everybody in leather, the songs, everything. George, on lead vocals was great. And over the years, Brooklyn Metal Fest, we were on the same bill with them. And so you knew who they were. I had one or two of their albums. And then Blackthorn, the club in Queens.
Former club in Queens.
Yeah, former club.
Oh, another club gone.
They around 2016, Bobby had left the band, and John Rupp, if you're familiar with John, he was having a show with Blackjack Shellac, which is like a collaboration of different musicians from the Queens and Brooklyn area.
Named after a Looney Tunes character.
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah. And so, I was doing my solo act with the backing tracks, and he said, why don't you come out and open for us? So I did. And George missed me. He got there, later after my set. And then we're on, I had gone on, I was breaking down and hanging out, and they go on, and out comes George doing Queen of the Reich.
Yeah.
And nailing it. So we talked afterwards. He did a few songs, not the whole night because they had different singers. And we talked, and Zandel had basically been put on the side, and he was doing his solo project. And so we talked, and it worked out. So that's how we hooked up with him.
Yeah, very cool. I
Very
noticed
cool.
that he cut his hair though, so I'm a little disappointed with that.
Well,
Although
he probably
we
had
got
to
two
get a
bald guys
job,
in the
dude.
band
There's-
anyway, so it works
Almost
out.
just have
Somebody's
to
gonna have
cut
hair
our
in the
hair.
band. Hey, I'm right there with you.
By the way, I have to say the first time I ever heard George was when Zandel opened for Armored Saint at Lemoore in May of
Oh,
2000. And
wow.
I was like really taken aback by this guy. I'm like, man, I hope, even if the band didn't make it big, I'm like, at least I hope he gets a European deal. So, well, looks like it happened 23 years
Yeah.
later. So,
Yeah. Well, I think technically Zandel, I think, was signed to a European label too.
LMB, isn't that
LMB,
sort of
that's
like a
German.
licensing deal? I think more than a record deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
It-
Either way, it was still German, but yeah,
Yes.
it's good. and his solo stuff was signed to what's the one in Germany? The guys were originally from East Germany.
SPV, Steamhammer.
Battle something, or I forget the name now. But yeah, so he was with them too for the solo stuff. So Germany seemed to be his home for the Zandel and solo stuff.
Very cool, very cool. Now you got the album. How's how are the reviews for the album been?
They've been pretty good overall. John, you want to take that one?
Yeah, we're very humbled. We're getting very good reviews. We approached the album a little different this time. We made sure the bass was prominent in the mix, and people seem to like it.
Who mixed the album?
You got to hear the bass.
You got to hear the bass. It's all about the bass.
It's all about the bass.
No trouble.
No
Who's the mixer on the album?
I did. I mixed it, and that was one of my goals, to make sure that John was better represented this time around, so he could really hear his playing more substantially than past recordings. So it seems like I achieved that goal, because most of the reviews are complimenting the bass sound and his playing and stuff. So,
well, it was nice because with George, after Dave left, Dave was a very good drummer and everything, and when we got George, he knocked it out of the park. He was we would go over stuff left and right, because he's close. I live in South Carolina, so we're only like 3 hours away.
Oh,
So
okay.
we were able to get together on a regular basis and really iron out some stuff.
So
Yeah,
George, where did they find you?
I've been in the Jersey scene forever. That's really where I grew up. And I played with Mark in a few bands, and so then Mark contacted me when I guess when Dave left back in 15 or whatever it was, and I've been on ever since. And with John 3 hours away, whiskey, cigars, and rock and roll, man, all day, all night.
Now, have you and
Let's
John ever
go.
gotten into battles over which state has the better barbecue?
No, you know what?
John will kill
I
it
cook
all, man.
Italian. He cooks Portuguese. We want for nothing, sir.
Screw barbecue. I'll take Italian and Portuguese any day. Look at
There
me.
you go.
Anyway,
There you go.
Actually, the barbecue is pretty good in both states.
I'll agree with South Carolina. I've never tried Georgia because I've never been there, but one day.
Is that your drum kit behind you, or is that like an image picture thing?
Yeah,
That's real. Okay, that is real. What
That's where I
what
recorded everything.
What kind of drum set is that?
That's a Tama.
Okay.
So yeah, it sounds great. It really does.
All right, cool. What kind of cymbals you got there?
Zildjian, Peisty, just thrown around.
Oh, so a little mix of everything.
A little of everything, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
So
if you're buying it, you don't stick with one brand. You go for what works.
I actually,
what sounds best.
I did. Oh, I have all Sabian cymbals.
And it's a
Sabian.
fine line. It's a fine line between sounding great and breaking constantly.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Zildjian hated me 20 years ago. Zildjian's absolutely hated me. They kept replacing cymbals, and those things get expensive.
They do. I never realized, because I bought them way back when I started playing drums, and this is 20, 30 years ago or something like that. and I haven't bought any cymbals since. So
Mm.
just going into like the music stores to look for new cymbals or new drums or whatever, and seeing the prices of them, I'm like, wow, they were that much back then. I was like, I don't remember paying that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the prices went up. I'm sure they did, but
they went way up.
Oh, they
Everything.
did. Everything went up.
yeah, I don't know. I know everything.
Inflation.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, it's crazy that the prices of instruments. And I feel bad for some of these kids because a lot of people don't have that kind of money to spend on like good equipment.
Look at guitars. Even 10 years ago, they started just going up big time, and it's at least Gibson's. So, but
yeah, with the internet though, there's so much that you can buy online, used, new,
so many
whatever, and
goodness for a
price
reverb.
wars. So yeah,
Not if you're particular like us bass players, though.
Well, I'm first of all, I'm gonna love to say this because Wayne hates headless guitars.
Oh, it's so
and
ugly.
you have
ugly.
original
until you
Steinberger
watch
basses.
John play.
Oh my god! Well, we're deleting him off this show right now.
No, you're not. I'll delete you. Kong's my boy. Leave him alone.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
No,
He's pulling out the Steinberger.
And he's also Ned Steinberger Designs. He's got a bunch of those basses too.
Oh god! Oh god!
Eat your heart out, Geddy Lee.
Oh my god! It's got wires hanging out.
Those are strings.
Those are strings.
Wires. Those are wires. It's broken.
I scared the hell out of Wayne once with my Steinberger. He's like, "That's not a guitar." I'm like, "Yes, it is."
I told him stop making videos with that thing.
Hey, what is it? 1982? Wait, 83?
Wow.
I think you bought it just before we met in '85, so maybe
No, I've
84.
had it before. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's the original one because they didn't even have the EMG bass pickups. They put guitar pickups in it. That's why it sounds so different.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They didn't have active.
They Frankensteined it.
Nice. But Mark, to add to what you were saying before about Gibsons, not just Gibsons, Epiphones. I saw in stores recently that they're stocked on Epiphone Carina Flying V's. They're going for $1,200 now, brand new.
Well, that's still reasonable enough, I know
an Epiphone
more for them, but
Epiphone,
I know,
yeah.
but still, it's not like $5,000 or something.
That's true. That's what a Gibson will run you if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Crazy. Go ahead, Lou. Go ahead. I'll let you talk now.
So, I met Mark many years through family members of mine who at the time were friends of his. I'm glad that Mark and I have still maintained a great friendship through the years. And through him, I met John. And there was a period where John was not in the band. And I know you also overcame some health issues. John, I'm glad that you're here with us and doing well. It's always great to see you.
Well,
so
George too. George had the same thing.
Did you?
Cancer.
But he had it before he joined the band, though. Yeah.
So he was able to coach me.
Mm.
Get it fixed now.
Well, I'm glad you're both here.
Actually, he threatened me, but that's fine.
But there was a point where Mark did ask me if I wanted to come down and shoot for the bass role. And I said, I'll give it a shot. And I had the pleasure of meeting George that day. And after playing those Overlord bass tracks, I was like, there's only one person who could do these songs justice, and that's Kong. So I told Mark, I said, I hope you get him back. And here we are.
You guys make me humble, man.
But knowing that, I like to delve a little bit into your history because you guys started in the Jersey metal scene in the 1980s. Yep. You, Mark, and John are the two original members who are still with the band today. So let's go to the Wayback Machine a little bit. What was it that led to the inception of Overlord?
My wonderful vocals.
He was our original lead singer. He was the original lead singer. We were a three-piece.
If you want to call it singing, but that's fine.
Well, I was looking for, I wanted to start an original metal band, and they had the Aquarian, or it might have been the East Coast Rocker at that point. They had not gone through a name change. The local New Jersey newspaper with the classifieds for music.
Yep.
And so I put an ad in, and John John answered it, and I actually had seen him perform at the Showplace previously. In his suspenders, he looked like a big Robbie Steinhardt.
That was with Final Plea.
That's suspenders, coveralls rather, coveralls.
My South American connections.
and where those aluminum neck T headstock bases, was that a Kramer? What's that?
It's Kramer.
Yeah, he had one of those, Lou, the aluminum necks.
I kept going out of tune if it got too cold.
I never played a guitar with an aluminum neck.
Yeah,
So,
shiny aluminum, not even trying to be darkened up. It was shiny aluminum.
I don't
Look
know.
cool. Look cool. Poke somebody's eyes out with it.
Anyway, so John was very recognizable, and as soon as he got out of his van and started walking up to the steps where I was sitting on the steps of my parents' house, I'm like, I know you. We hit it off. We joined somebody else's band for a while. That guy fired us, and we started Overlorde.
Very cool. And you guys released a 5-song EP, and I was in single digit age at the time, so I didn't know about Overlorde. But when we met,
making me feel old, man. Come on, man.
I love the old school, you know that. But around 2006 when we met, Overlorde had already been reunited. And apparently you said what caused the reunion was the fact that there was a resurgence for the band's music with, I guess, copies of the EP doing really well in secondhand stores in Germany. Is that correct?
Well, everywhere really, here and in Germany. But we also got tape traded during the 90s. People would put together the compilation tapes of the rare stuff that just so they could let other people hear it. And so between that and the copies that we had left on consignment, because when we broke up in very early '89, we had left about half of the 1,000 copies on consignment. Plus, we had shipped about 50 or 100 to the metal specialist, Jürgen Hegewald, who later became Hellion Records.
In West Germany. So I think
at the time it was West Germany, yes.
I think when that wall came down, those poor people were friggin' starving for metal, man. They ate up everything they could get their hands on. Yeah, that's why I think metal itself made a resurgency, in the early '90s.
Yeah.
By the way, it was Pure Steel is the one that was based in East Germany originally, and they formed the record label after the reunification, and that's what that's what George's solo stuff was signed to, Pure Steel.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. But so just the fact that we had gotten this reputation of being one of the best U.S. power metal bands of the '80s, and here we are thinking nothing's happened. It's like nobody knows about us because we just dissolved and didn't keep at it. But meanwhile, people were buying those copies that were still at the stores, and tape trading, and that's basically what led to Steel Conjuring, Manos Koufakis in Greece. His Steel Conjuring fanzine wrote to our P.O. box, which Dave still had, our drummer, and said, we'd like to do an interview. And then somebody else also wrote saying, you guys have any spare copies left I can buy from you? That was late '99. And we just took that and built on it and decided to reunite in 2000.
And with Bobby Lucas on vocals, you guys recorded Return of the Snow Giant, which I thought was one of the best, not just metal albums, but albums of that decade. I mean, it's one of my favorites. I still have the copy you gave me, Mark. So, I remember, listening to it a lot, especially on those evening rides to Viacom, where I used to work the overnights. And from the label they had at the time, Sonic Age Records, which was based out of Greece, and the Keep It True festival, which I think it was Keep It True 2 you guys performed at.
4, I think it was.
It was 4.
Yeah. And
having seen the video footage of it, those German fans were eating it up. Tell us, what was that like?
John, man, what do you think?
You know what? Nothing's better than having like the first 10 rows, 12 rows singing along with songs that, like, man, how did these guys know the words to these songs? I can't even remember. You know what I mean? It was an awesome experience. Really nice place, and everybody could not have been more accommodating. It was definitely nice.
Yeah,
You know,
I had a couple of Frenchmen kissing me. They were so happy to see me, the way the French kiss your cheeks and all. And I had one German guy who may have been drunk, but a young German guy
oh,
crying that he got to meet me.
No, he was sober.
I
John,
had two 6'4" behind me making me drink whiskey as soon as I got off the stage because I said I don't drink before I play. He goes, "Oh, you drink now? Ah, yeah."
somebody grabbed John at the urinals to get his autograph.
Oh,
I
come
had
on.
yeah, we
Yeah.
had we had a couple walk by me, so I had one of our Overlord t-shirts on. It was after the show, and I had a couple walk by me. The guy looked like a thinner, not quite as buff Fabio, and his girlfriend was model quality too, and they were both tall, and they both had long leather jackets on and stuff.
Are you sure it wasn't Joey DeMaio incognito in a
No,
blonde
no, no,
wig?
no.
Okay.
And I think he might have had the Overlord shirt on under his jacket, and I saw it, so I tapped him on the shoulder as he went by, and I pointed him in, and I made sure he knew who I was. He goes, "Oh, you have to take a picture with my girlfriend." So he
Now
didn't.
you make love to her. No, just kidding.
He might have said that, and it was in German. I didn't realize, but
Oh, you would have realized, Mark.
yeah, right. But no, it was just those types of funny things. Was just and I just realized watching those live videos you mentioned, Lou.
Mhm.
For the very last song, we always end with Overlord, and we do a little extended, banging, just power chording at the very end, and John's going nuts with his bass. And I just realized recently there's two guys climbing up on the barricades playing air bass, not air guitar. They're playing air bass to John. I'm like, that's really cool.
Well, I
Like
mean,
I said, all you need is bass. It's all about the bass, baby.
but I really got to give it to you, John, because I mean, you are a great rhythmic player, and whether it was with Dave or whether it's with George, whatever drummer you play with, you guys are a solid rhythmic foundation. But I think it's safe to say that you're almost like a lead bassist, like in the vein of like a John Entwistle. Would you say he would be an inspiration to your playing style?
All those guys in the 70s, late 60s, into the 80s, they were all like that. The guy from Grand Funk, of course, Geezer Butler. I mean, they had that, they had that. Well, Entwistle, he was different. Geddy Lee. I mean, all those
There's all
wonderful Harris. I mean, you kind of, you wind up playing those songs and you realize, oh, that's how he does that. Oh, that's pretty cool. But like Entwistle, man, he would use them all. I mean, he was doing like with 5 fingers. Like, how the heck did he do that? Like way before these people were slapping. You know,
and the
he
Who.
was
I was going
he
to say
was
the Who, Rush, and Zeppelin. They were all one guitar bands, so they had to fill it out. So that's why those bass players, I think, were so active, so talented, so just powerful.
yeah, kind of you always try to emulate people you grew up with. Dave Hope from Kansas. I mean, that was one of my favorite bands growing up, and Chris Squire from Yes. Oh my God, and he played with a pick. Kind of broke my heart when I found out.
But
Like, man, he's that good with a pick. Whoa.
But there was an 18-year lull between Snow Giant and the new album, Waking the Fury. Are you guys at liberty to discuss why the wait? We missed you. And George, welcome, and glad to hear you on an Overlord album.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to record, man. It really
Mark hurt
was.
my feelings.
Well, and by the way, as a point of interest, even though John and I started the band together, I actually met George before I met John.
Wow.
So
you were bound to join one day. Anyway,
yeah. So and George had moved to Mountainside, New Jersey from Portugal. Well, about how old were you, George?
I was 15.
And
15. Yeah.
in the early '80s, he was in a band called Starstruck with some of my friends, and that's how we met. And then stayed in contact, and then he played in a band with me after Overlord broke up the first time, or the only time so far. And yeah, so technically he's known me longer. So, but it just life got in the way, people started moving away, people started coming and going. Bobby,
Babies,
yeah, yeah, John became a
kids.
father, and actually you become a father before Overlord reunited. Actually, yeah. So, but yeah, just moving away and family commitments and things like that. It just dragged out, and but
But
we
we
kept
always
at
stayed,
it.
we always stayed friends. I mean, that was here and there. Like every time there's a bad storm in Florida, I call Dave up. I said, "You guys want to come up here? We always got room for you. You got to get away from the hurricane and stuff. I mean, once you play with somebody, you're friends. You're friends forever. I mean, you guys know that. It don't
Depending on the
matter.
situation, but for the most part, you're right.
Yeah, it can
You might want to choke them every now and then or throat punch them, but you're still friends. And like you never stop playing. I mean, I moved to Pennsylvania. We were getting together, and we did all that stuff, and then I moved down here to South Carolina. But I constantly play. You know, Everyone does. You know,
Hmm. What
Gotta play.
would you play? Did you play like cover bands or something, or
Actually, and we had a talk about Warner Brothers. We had a band, the Gas House Gorillas, up in Pennsylvania, and we played, some Slayer, some Megadeth, that kind of stuff. Just having fun, and we would
yeah,
play these little bars, and there'd be like, small bar, 50, 60 people, and it was just fun, And then
Mm.
down here, I play in a couple blues band with a couple combat vets and stuff. I'm still playing some blues down here, but this is, I do that because I have to play. I have to play, and I like to play with people. I mean,
Yeah.
playing with yourself is fun. Don't get me wrong. We all do that. But,
Kids, cover your ears.
yeah.
but you got to play. You got to play.
He means an instrument, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the one. Look,
And what about
the one with no head on it.
Oh God!
and,
Look at
Oh,
that.
I'm gonna throw
Oh,
it.
you
How
tuned it
about-
from the bottom. Jesus, the world's coming to an end.
and how about you, George? Do you play with any local friends as well in bands, or is it mostly just concentrated on Overlord for you?
Yeah. When I came here in '91, I started playing with bands, and again, it was just like everybody else, doing some clubs and bars and parties and things like that. I played with my cousin for a long time. He's a pretty good bass player, not quite as heavy as John, um, as far as the style of music, but it
Are
was
you
fun,
calling
and
me?
and we
Are you
we
I
calling
you
me
just,
know
fat
we
again?
did an
I
album
think he
there.
was. I think he tried to hide it too.
So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, and just all along, been playing. It's been probably, I want to say, year and a half since I had anyone around me that likes the music I like to play. So, but Overlord's really, been it since 2017 or so.
Very cool. And during that period when I got to become very good friends with Mark, Mark was instrumental in helping me with this cancer benefit concert that me and my business partner and college buddy Bob Mango, we did this concert around my 30th birthday called uh, Music for a Cause, where Mark opened up the show with his one man act, and I got to play what was UFO's Lights Out with him, and that was a
Great
moment
song.
in time I'll never forget.
That was with
And
a full band too. Yeah,
yeah, we had my
drummer
drummer Joey
and singer.
Kalari and from Off the Rails, and Teresa from Phoenix Rain joined us on vocals as well. So
I'm so
that was
sorry.
yeah. By the way, I told Billy to book Phoenix Rain on that bill, and he said okay, and I said all right, you guys ready? He's like, no, I forgot to mention it to the band. I was like, damn you, Billy.
That's why we're not together anymore.
That's right. And I got him now.
You
Anyway,
got me, man.
but
I'm
Mark was
sorry.
wonderful with helping out that show. I just thought it was funny that, 50 people put in, for raffles for the guitar, and who wins it? Mark Edwards.
The
It
fix
happened to
is
be
in.
I was the last one to put it in, so I have a feeling maybe somebody didn't mix up the box all that well.
I'll blame my wife or one of her sisters. Anyway,
I won't complain. I won't complain.
and he also produced the song that my wife wrote for her sister as a wedding gift, and people still talk about it.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
whoever was at the wedding, that is. But I mean, just loved working with him, and realizing his value not just as a musician and as a producer. And like you hear how your production skills have evolved leaps and bounds, especially on this album. Was it pretty much a conscious effort to just kind of keep everything songwriting wise and production wise within the band and no outside interference? And did No Remorse kind of like offer any kind of pullback on that?
Well, budget wise, it wasn't the best, and as far as trying to utilize other outside studio and stuff. Plus, like I said, I had this vision for how John should sound, and it was just working out that we were all very happy with how it was coming out. So we saw no reason to go into a professional studio and mix it or re-record it or anything like that. It was just everything was coming together nicely. So it just kind of fell into place like that. I did a lot of work because I'm not a trained engineer, so I would spend a lot of time proofing stuff, and all the guys were always, listening,
Yes, he did.
approving. Yeah. But it's and I built a home studio here, 2-room studio. I'm in the control room right now, so I also had to get that tuned first before we started mixing, and I'd never tuned a room before, so I had to get some practice in making sure that all the acoustics were right in here and stuff. Yeah, it just kind of worked out that way. We were happy with how it was turning out, so we just went with it.
Wayne?
Very cool, very cool. Do you guys have any shows coming up soon? Or doing any
There's nothing
anything?
booked because since we're spread out, just about any show requires at least any show that would be local to some of us requires at least 2 airline tickets.
No, it's true, yeah.
So
We're in the same boat.
Yeah, and they ain't paying like they used
we're
to.
not spread out as far as they are, though. That's true.
No, I mean, we got a basis that lives in Pennsylvania. That's about it.
Basis.
that's not terrible, But so what we've envisioned is if we get asked to do any one-offs, either here in the States or festivals in Europe, then we'll probably try and arrange a local show to warm up, and get the kinks worked out at, say, Dingbats or some other venue around here. And
there is Ziggy's in
is.
North Carolina. I know that.
Well, there's not as much of a metal community. Plus, everybody, John and George still have family up here too. So, but there's a much better metal scene here in the New York area than Atlanta, or just despite Prog Power, the general metal scene is still better up here than down there. And in South Carolina, there's almost nothing.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah,
Else
I
I'd be
would
playing.
think so.
I'd be playing metal. That's why I play blues.
I have to say that what John is saying has credibility to it. I vacationed in Myrtle Beach a couple of years ago, and my wife and I went with our friend to a winery, and there was this gentleman there who was doing he was singing to a track similar to what you were doing, Mark, except he was singing to the PA. And the most randomest thing, he asked if everyone could stand at attention, and I thought he was going to sing "America the Beautiful" or even the "Star Spangled Banner." No, he sang "God Bless the USA" by Lee Greenwood, and everyone treated it like it was the anthem. Yep, random. No love for metal in South Carolina, but that's okay. I
And
still love South Carolina.
Atlanta is the hip hop capital of the world, so There are some metal shows and some things that do go on through the year, but it's the smaller venues. It really
Mhm.
is. The
Mm.
Masquerade, things like that. So
I did find out recently that Zach, the singer that took over in Sabotage and
Oh,
for a
Zach
while,
Stevens. Yeah.
Zach Stevens. I recently found out. I think he's in South Carolina, not
Yeah.
John Newland. He's not near the coast, and I think Zach is in that general area also. So there is some metal there.
There is.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
guy from
hidden in the woods.
Carnivore lives in Somerville.
Oh, Louis Beto, I think, right?
No, a Joe.
We're talking about Pete Steele, Brooklyn Carnivore,
I,
right?
Well, there's been a
he,
few different members over the years, right? I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
He was
I'm
one of the fill-ins, and he went to Europe with him. So
okay, well, because I know the first.
Joe, can't remember his name offhand. Funny as hell though.
Oh,
That we have one of the places I delivered to. He goes, "Hey, you playing that band Overlord, man? I got a guy who and he originally said typo negative. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he said, no, it's Carnivore. I said, well, here's my number. Tell him to call me. So,
wait, well,
so
what
he
state was this?
texted me not too long ago.
This was South Carolina, you're saying?
Yeah, because
Hmm.
Charleston's pretty big, but Charleston's kind of a very weird town where yeah,
Trying to find his name.
I'm drawing a blank because I know Louis Beto lives in Florida, and I actually just
I have no idea.
and Keith Alexander unfortunately has passed away. So is Pete Steele. So I'm trying to think. I mean, there was Paul Bento, but he was a replacement member of Carnivore in 2006-07,
I'm
around that
sorry,
time.
And John did say he was a
Steve
replacement.
Tobin.
Right. Okay. So yeah, replacement member when Peter resurrected them, in between Typo's record deals between Roadrunner and
2006,
Napalm. Okay.
2010. I just saw
He
that.
seems pretty good. You know,
Oh, they were tight. I mean, I don't think Pete Steele would go on stage with anyone who couldn't keep up with him. I mean, talk about a
yeah,
loud bass player.
I'm looking forward to jam with him eventually when he gets done working on his girlfriend's house. Welcome to South Carolina. Got to constantly work on houses.
Very cool. So why the jump, I guess, from Sonic Age to No Remorse? I mean, I do know No Remorse. Prior to the release of Overlord's album, the thing that I thought they did was the most noteworthy was releasing the Quiet Riot albums that have Randy Rhoads on them.
I'm not familiar with those, but basically Sonic Age only released a few original albums after our contract ran out, and basically they wanted us to do another album. We were contracted to do another album, but we weren't getting our stuff together. John had moved to South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and we just weren't getting it done. But meanwhile, they seemed to stop doing new albums. They had originally started out as Cult Metal Classics doing reissues and created Sonic Age to do new releases, and they basically just went back to doing reissues with Cult Metal Classics. So they weren't even an option to go back to when we were looking for another label.
Mm.
And then No Remorse had a great reputation. They've done great work with their vinyl, and their graphics are excellent. Packaging is excellent. Technically, Chris, the owner, actually was one of the founding members of Cult Metal Classics,
Oh, okay.
with Costas and with Manos, and he actually signed our contract, which was originally actually with Cult Metal Classics before they said no, we're moving you over to Sonic Age. So he actually signed both of our contracts for both albums, technically, but he left the partnership, before we got the album out. So, and that's when he formed No Remorse. But yeah, they had a great reputation. It just worked out best with them. And yeah, we're happy. They did a really good job with promotion and stuff. And yeah, so it's, and like I said, the packaging has been excellent. People just love how the artwork came out in printed form. There's a whole backstory to the artwork, and just very high quality. The vinyl, especially the way they packaged it, was
Very
very
nice.
What is the backstory to the artwork?
well. We had originally a concept that we wanted somebody to create for us. We were going to reproduce basically the gargoyles.
Okay.
We have the gargoyles lifting, coming to life and lifting off of a castle. Things weren't working out. We had thought we had hired one artist, and that fell through. We found that artist and the final artist through a website called artstation.com, which is like, wow, this is the place that every musician wishes they had for music, but it was for artists where they could show and sell their wares, take classes, get feedback. Just a very, very great artistic community. And they had a fair number of very talented people. And the Danielle Gay, who is actually a Italian from very near the French border, okay, was one of them there. And he had already created that artwork that we used called Epic Battle. He had created it to raise money. He did the was it NFT. He sold the NFT for it to raise money for Ukrainian relief, but he still retained the rights for for us to license it. And the backstory to the album is, when you look at it, you see giant blue ogres and red orcs battling Knights Templar, who have a blue and yellow cross instead of white and red, I think it is, for Knights Templar. And it represents the Russians attacking the Ukrainians, with the idea that the Russians were the bigger, badder monsters, and they're actually, where their nickname in Ukraine is the Orcs. So that
Wow, that goes deep.
Huh?
I said, wow, that goes deep.
Yeah. So it
That's what she said.
It represented the
Hey.
Huh.
Mark has the floor, Wayne. Continue, Mark.
But so it represented that struggle, the outnumbered good guys against the superior bad guys. And I guess by the time he did it, things had more or less stabilized initially, but it was still a very fluid situation. And so he had done that, and I saw it, and I realized that this was a great, the whole fantasy artwork for power metal, perfect. So I approached him. And he said, yeah, I talked to the guys, of course, first. And he said, yeah, but, I'd like to know what the songs are about. So he didn't want to lend his artwork to Poison, to a Poison band where it's singing about girls all the time. And so we went over I did a summary of what each song was about. And we came to realize that much of the album conveys that same feeling, outnumbered good guys defeating superior bad guys. So, a song about the Battle of Britain, Fire in the Sky.
I was going to ask you about those. Yeah.
Battle at Marathon, the famous Greek battle that inspired the marathon race. And then Hammer Strike is about the Battle of Tours and Poitiers. Charles the Hammer Martel defeating the Moors who had ventured into France from Spain. And then some fantasy battles of the same style, like Awaken the Fury is about an outnumbered defender, country going up against an invader. So there was all that commonality. He's like, this is perfect. And so that's where it went. And that's the backstory. It's Ukraine influenced, and it reflects the outnumbered guy getting the best of and defeating the overpowering enemy.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's cool when something like that works out. You find that artwork that works with your music. It's really cool.
We were fortunate that we were able to find the guy that does our album artwork on Fiverr. I think we found it.
Oh wow, okay.
And we just gave him the basic ideas of what we wanted. Like the first one for the first album just came from an idea in my head, and he drew it perfectly. And I was like, okay, that just does not happen. For an artist to get it right the first time. And then the second one was, okay, I don't care if we get hate for this, because I always say AI is a useful tool if you know what you're doing. So for Skyward, Wayne actually came up with the concept on AI, and it was ridiculous because the angel, we purposely made it more feminine, but we didn't mean to make it look like the three-breasted girl from Total Recall. Like that was a complete accident that came up on AI. So we gave it to the same artist, and we said, "Do you think you can make this better and make it two-breasted and not triple?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll fix that." And he did such a great job on it that he actually already did the artwork for the third album, which is coming out next year. But continue to please buy Skyward and buy Awaken the Fury by Overlord. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way. What, number 14 on the Metal Contraband for you guys this week? Is
Yeah.
that what I saw?
Yeah, we made it to number 14. Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
And you guys actually, oddly enough, I was going to bring up, both of us have radio representation through Munzie Ritchie's Skateboard Marketing.
Yep.
How was it that you came up to work with Munzie?
Well, and you mentioned how we met and all, and even though I'm a Jersey guy, I did have like a 5.5-year detour to Whitestone, Queens.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, it's cool. I enjoyed it. Actually, overall, it was a very positive experience. And so, just hanging out more on the New York metal scene.
Signs of satanic behavior may be apparent.
Uh-oh.
Wayne, what the hell?
That's me. I'm sorry. My radio show is on at 9:00, so I'm doing that right now.
So the satanic behavior had nothing to do with the fact we're
you
talking
multitasking bastard. Anyway,
Yes.
mute yourself.
And I can't figure out how to lower it, but continue to talk.
Mute
It's
yourself.
Yeah, don't.
Almost to the point of
Hold on. Go ahead. Just go.
Okay.
Thank God. Okay.
I want to listen to what you're listening to.
It's
So-
Playboy Radio.
Freeworld.fm. You can turn the show off and go to freeworld.fm. I'm on there.
All right, Mark, I'm sorry. Continue.
That's it. So hanging out in Manhattan at different metal shows and stuff, meeting Munzie over the years and stuff, and he talked to me a couple of times. If you guys are ready, I'd love to promote you guys. And so in this case, because we had self-produced, we had some of the recording budget left over. Plus we also got money for the EP reissue, which is something we still have to talk about too. But
okay.
they're doing the EP reissue also. So we were able to take some of that money. I talked to the guys and said, listen, we've got a little extra money right now. Plus we've got money starting to come in from the sales of this new album. Would you guys, be open to doing this radio campaign? And it was a late start. We didn't decide to do it till after the album had technically dropped. Usually you start the campaign before. But we went on board with them, and it was much better than we ever expected, in part because we did have that old school vibe. Even though it's power metal, it's still closer to classic metal. We came out with a single version of The Madness Within, where we left the outro off to get it down to 5 minutes. And that had that Sabbathy feel. We actually called that song the Sabbathy song in the beginning. It worked out great. We were number 3 for the most ads the week we started the 8-week campaign, and then in the course of a 5-week period, we were in the top 10 4 times for Metal Contraband, which is the commercial station side of the rankings. So it seemed to click with a lot of the DJs and stuff, and I speak for the rest of the guys. We probably did better with the rankings than any of us thought we would, right, guys?
Yeah. And especially considering the competition. I mean, with Judas Priest coming out with a new album this year, and
Bruce Dickinson.
Right. And it's funny because I think the week that our album went for ads is also the same week as Born of Osiris, which is a modern day progressive metal band, but they get labeled with the term gent, which I think is gent, because the guitars have like this the gent type sound.
Gent. Okay.
Yeah, it's onomatopoeia, which I think is ridiculous, but it's metal, people. It's just metal anyway. But no, yeah. I think it's considering that the amount of great albums that come out this year, the fact that Overlord, who's been fully invested in the game as long as you have, and a band like us, which is relatively new, stood as competition for them. I think it's a sign that people really want something different and something new and something fresh. And I'm
Yep.
glad that, all of us as musicians, have something to offer.
Yep.
John and George, you guys aren't saying anything. Come on. I contribute to the
Mark's
conversation.
a hog, man. What the heck? Oh, and by the way, if you're really into the AI, just remember, go back and listen to Metallic Madness off of Return of the Snow Giant, because that's how it's all going to end. So just listen to that.
It wasn't specifically AI, but just the whole thing of computers taking over.
Yeah, just that's how it's going to end.
In the end,
that's one of
Think so,
John's
huh?
specialties, kind of a post-apocalyptic subject matter when he writes a song.
really.
A
Yeah, it could've
lively
been-
imagination. Lively.
Yeah, could have been all the bad stuff in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yes, James Cameron movies. I get it. Anyway,
Yeah, Terminator.
Yeah, that was actually, I think I wrote that even before the Terminator and all that stuff came out. That was an old song that I brought aboard. So
no,
anyway,
I mean, it's a frightening thought. But
Just because you're into that AI stuff, I'm not. I don't even like computers. You're
I
What
have
do you guys think about AI? Because there's a lot of people. There's actually a Facebook group out there. It's got like 93,000 people on there that are against anybody or any band using AI. Most of it's artists, which I understand, but what do you
I mean,
guys?
I think that's why I never like really got into the rap that much, because there's no musicians.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not playing, it's just like with the digital stuff where you can copy and paste stuff. Cheating, do it right, get it right, play it over.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
And believe me, Mark was cracking a whip when I was doing this stuff. John, you missed a note there. How can you tell? He went, hold on. Spread that thing out and show me. Yeah, right there.
Wait, so when you guys were recording this album, did you do tracking or did you play it like live at all together?
Tracking mostly.
Yeah, we did through Click. We swapped files. We mainly used Cubase. George Solikis had something else. I forget what he uses.
Mind you, we were still doing Cubase. We're still doing the Jam Link, so we were actually playing live together.
And when we rehearse, yeah.
Remember those things? So we would rehearse with that, and we would get our ideas and stuff, and then work on it, and then come back and play some more. Of course, being in rural South Carolina, I had the worst digital connection, but these guys are near cities, so. But yeah, we worked on that heavily, and then we did do it to a click track, which was, but you always play to a click track. You have to.
No, I agree. And George, with your drums, I mean, I'm guessing everything was each individual drum was mic'd and it was recorded on multi-tracks. Is that pretty much how it went for you?
No. What I did was I bought an electronic set. I bought a Roland. So everything came through MIDI. And we just got the biggest, fattest sound we could get, from sound libraries, basically. And it came out great.
Yeah, I would say it worked out very well.
How did you?
First thing I did after the recordings was sell the thing.
I was going to say, how did you like it compared to an acoustic kit?
No.
Yeah,
it's great for recording. So actually, we've been talking about, starting up again, with rehearsal through Jamlink and all that, and rewriting everything. So I'm already looking to buy another one. But
now, why can't you record with your regular kit?
It's a lot. I mean, have you done that type of thing?
Yes.
It's quite a bit. I mean,
No, it's not.
with
Wayne,
come on down. I have lots of room.
Come
Just
over here and I
what
will
need
show
to
you.
do.
All you need to do is I have a Focusrite Scarlett 18i20, right? It's a eight input interface, and I have 7 mics. I got a mic on each drum and 2 overheads. It's not hard.
How do you deal with bleeding?
You just have to have somebody that knows what they're doing mixing, and they'll just fix it.
Mark knows what he's doing.
Mark knows what he's doing, I think. So It's really not as hard as you think it is.
But I'm,
George,
I'm in
how
New
about this?
Jersey. I'm not going to fly down there to.
George, how about
you
this?
know how I did. I shut up, Lou.
We'll ship Wayne down to you, and you have him work for you. And then when you're done with him, kill him. We won't report nothing. Don't
Yeah, we
worry.
got gators down here, baby. They'll never find them.
I went on YouTube.
When-
There's tons of YouTube videos. They tell you
When-
everything. So
One of
many
the beautiful things
tutorials.
about it is that when you're able to capture that spur of the moment stuff as you're creating it, as you're writing, getting your ideas down, and sometimes you just can't capture that later if you try to go back and redo them over again. So that's been one positive, that we can not only capture that initial surge of adrenaline and creativity, but also it makes it easier to go back and punch in to continue recording over an extended period of time, because you're not worrying about having to perfectly mic the drums the same way they were 3 months ago when you did the first 3 songs, you know.
I got
So-
do it all in one shot.
Well, yeah,
Just tips and
unfortunately with the
tricks.
stretch out, this is at least how we did it with this album. It was so stretched out with John leaving the band and then coming back. It changed the whole writing process. It just worked out that that it just came in very flexible for us to be able to do it that way.
Hmm.
If things
That's
work
nice.
out and we can do the acoustic set next time, hey, great, But
I would definitely look into it. You know what it is, because it's just it's a different sound. When you listen to power metal, when you hear the mixes and stuff like that, you hear like tighter sounding drums, usually in power metal music or whatever. And then when you put in like an electronic kit, it I don't like what the right word would be.
He did a good job,
No,
Wayne.
I'm not saying he did a bad job. I'm just saying that with an acoustic kit, it's just a totally different sound. Immediately you can hear that it's an electron drum kit.
Well, do you realize that this music library is not what's in his drum kit, in his drum head, in his drum?
Yeah.
These are drums that have been sampled in the best studios of the world, right? Actual drums that have been hit 50, 60 times with different velocities and stuff like that. So technically, it's real drums that he's just triggering with the mix.
Yeah, they're just triggered in there. Yeah.
So it was a program like the Get Good drum library.
We did Easy Drummer too.
Easy Drummer too. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
So
Easy Bake. Yeah.
You know what it is? I'm a drummer. You're a drummer too, George. And when I hear electron drums, like I want to just.
but it sounded good on the record.
But I'm a drummer. I know instantly that's electronic drums.
Just like that. With
Just
no,
like that. Just like
just
that.
like-
And you know
with
how
no
I
head?
can tell? Because
no
of the
head?
cymbals. Yep. The cymbals
no
sound
head?
fake all the time.
But they're sampled cymbals from the best
Sampled
studios.
cymbals. Well, no, there was no. We're gonna get you guys hooked up. You're gonna use an acoustic kit on the next album. That's the end of the story.
Great. Now, if you
There
could
it
just
is.
help us.
All I need is the mics and whatever the head will work.
Great. Now, if you guys could just help us rehearse, because we haven't had a rehearsal in over a year.
Yeah.
We tried Jamulus instead, not Jamlink. We tried Jamulus, which was free. And I think that was the mistake. It was free. So
no, you have to have you can't use Wi-Fi. You have to be connected to the Ethernet cables, and then it should work. You can't use Wi-Fi, and I'm in my garage, and my internet is all the way upstairs, so it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you definitely need a hardwire. That's for sure.
Yeah. So there's so many different things. Just recording, doing anything is pain in the ass,
but I will say this though, it's good to be living in a day where it's like, where you don't need a record label to be able to put together an album with friends of yours that you respect as musicians and release it, and like the fact that, okay, I admit things like Spotify and iTunes, they're a benefit as well as a hindrance, because I think I apparently read that 1,500 listens on Spotify equate to one sale.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah,
but with things like Bandcamp, where people can reach you directly and purchase from you, it helps. And I think it's great that we're living in a day where it's like, we don't have to deal with gatekeepers, saying, oh, we're not good enough because we're not on so and so label. I think that's something that benefits all musicians, especially in our genre, doing what we're doing. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like it's better now for musicians? George, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Technology, man. I mean, that's the business that I'm in, that I've been doing for 30 years. Um, so yeah, there it's leaps and bounds, and just like anything else, um, a car, for example. Who of us, could live without a car? Yet cars are used as weapons to kill people. So it's the same thing with AI and with everything else. But as far as recording and being able to play with these guys that I've known, forever, and we're all living in separate parts of the country. It's just an amazing thing to be able to do. It really is. So,
So do you guys like the Spotify and the iTunes, the streaming, or do you still like the records and the CDs and
Well,
physical formats?
um, I like. I'm old school. I still got a record. I still
Mm,
got a record player.
yeah.
But it's nice to be able to say, no, 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 go to Spotify and punch our name in, and you'll be able to hear us.
Mm.
You
Oh,
know,
that does remind me though. You guys, I tried looking you up on Amazon Music. You're not there. Is there a reason for that?
it's
Yeah,
there. It
it's
is
there.
there.
I that's did not find you guys.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty certain it's there because we get some royalties from Amazon, so it should be there.
Interesting.
Well, I don't think he means like physical
Yeah, not the
copies.
CD.
I think he
I'm talking
means the
about the
streaming.
streaming
No,
version.
the streaming. No,
Yeah,
actually the
Amazon
CDs
Music.
aren't
Yeah.
there. The streaming's there.
Uh, yeah, I looked and you guys did
Did you
not pop
type
up.
Overlord with an E at the end?
Yeah. Oh, and no, but you know what? It keeps turning me back. It takes the E away. It keeps taking it away.
Well, you guys.
It will
Well, then
not.
take the autocorrect off your phone. I don't know what to tell you.
No, it will not let me type in it with the E.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a link to Amazon. Let me see. Do we have a chat function? I can send it to you.
Yeah,
There we
send it to
go.
me.
Awaken the Fury and Return of the Snow Giants.
That
is
so
It's there.
weird.
Yeah, it's
And
there.
what did you type? Because look, watch.
Overlord.
Well, I just went straight to the. I have a
Oh, you
link on
probably
our
can't even see
website.
this. But I type it in on my phone on the app. Maybe it's an app thing. I don't know. Well, you just turn on the app. See, it does nothing comes up with Overlord. It's just you can't see that.
Well, he put it
I
in the
just sent
chat,
it to you in
Wayne.
the chat. I just sent it to you in the chat for the PC that you're on.
But it's funny though that you mentioned Dingbats earlier because that's probably like one of the last venues on the East Coast that still gives love for like hard rock and metal.
Yeah.
New York up here, it unless you're playing in Brooklyn at like Lucky 13 Saloon or Warsaw, the only venue out on Long Island that even houses original music is probably Amityville Music Hall. Other than that, it's like if you want to jump on the bill, you got to do pay to play, or you got to do mostly covers. It's horrible. It saddens me that there's no more love for like original music out in New York anymore. I'm glad that in Jersey at Dingbats it's still thriving.
Yeah. I mean, in Manhattan, I mean, you've got, the Gramercy and stuff, but that tends to be, touring bands and with some local bands opening.
Yeah, like Accept could play Gramercy, but a band like us couldn't because it'd be like Severed Who. So
I had to look up the band album for it to come up. That's very strange.
well, you found it, so that's
I found
good.
it finally came up. Yeah, because it was driving me. I had to listen to it on YouTube. It was driving me nuts. I hate YouTube.
Well, the YouTube music and most of the streaming sites actually have the lyrics. And some of them, like Spotify and Tidal, are synced. So each line progresses as they're sung.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's a whole. I had to register us at a specific website in order to do that. It wasn't part of this. We went through the CD Baby for the distribution with No Remorse, and that wasn't part of the CD Baby process. That was a separate website that we had to do that, and we actually had to tell it where everything started. I had to tell where every line in the song started as the song played along, and then it sent it out. And those streaming sites that allow it
Dave,
to have the
turn off.
This time it's Sean interrupting you, Mark,
now
not
we
Wayne.
we just got sound.
John, yeah.
It's hard to work. I got sausages as fingers. Okay.
But have you looked into DistroKid instead of CD Baby though?
For our purposes, because originally we were only going to do it for Return of the Snow Giant, things ended up working out that turned to be a good trial run, and we ended up doing it with No Remorse for the album. I won't get into why, but it ended up having to be that way. For what we needed to do, and we weren't going to be releasing, we didn't think anything else through CD Baby. It made sense to do it with CD Baby. Plus, if you ever break up, or eventually, we're all going to die, you don't have to do anything. CD Baby keeps it there forever.
Yeah.
Whereas DistroKid, I think somebody would have to pay a fee, not all that much, but somebody would have to pay something for them to permanently keep it up there on the web.
Yeah.
So there was just different reasons. It just seemed like it was less money because, again, we weren't planning on doing a lot of releases. So CD Baby just made more sense financially.
That's why I like
All right.
CD Baby a little bit more. This way,
And
like you say, if somebody dies, then your music's still there.
Yeah. And CD Baby revised their fee structure about a year ago, it turns out. So they had recognized that some of the other services were stealing their thunder and cutting into their markets. So they were smart, and they modified their fee structure, which made it, that's the main reason we went with them, because the new fee structure is what made it possible.
Yeah. What's next for you guys? Are you working on new music?
Yes, always working on new music.
Yep.
How
And
many
as
songs
George
you got?
had mentioned, he's got to get the new electronic set, so because it'll be easier to do the jam link thing, go
Well,
electronic.
I'm all excited now
Oh,
to,
George, just
to
talk-
go try
find
different
me-
ways.
Talk to me on Facebook, all right?
Well,
We'll get the
for
acoustic kit
reversing
in.
live over the internet, to get everything mic'd up and everything else, maybe, but it
There's
would
no maybe.
for
No
even
There's only
jamming,
Just freaking get a little mixer. It'd be fine.
but
Everything's gonna be great.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
It's not really. It's very easy. I don't know anything about technical stuff, and I set this thing up myself, so it's really not a big deal.
There you go.
But
I think your CDs are on fire behind you. No.
You could do it. You could do it.
how many songs you guys got working so far?
I have about 3 in the pipe. That George was down not so long ago, and we're going over them, and we're trying to do a little bit of a video thing. Last summer he was down, and it's my turn to go up there. So I just switched over to G&R. You ever hear G&R bass?
No.
It's a company out of Italy. I couldn't find anything that wasn't made in China. These are strictly made in Italy. The electronics, and they came out with a lightweight 410 cabinet, 38 pounds. Doesn't have the SVT throat, but man, it sure is real easy on your freaking back.
I'm sure.
So I can show up to a gig with a head, and I'm gonna walk in, set up, let's go. It's 800 watts. I mean, it sounds awesome.
800 watts.
And they got one that was 14. I was like, man, that's a little much for my studio. And if I play out in a club, I mean, it'd be good. Because I finally got rid of the SVT. I was just, I'm not using it. Every time I want to use it, but man, I did 100 and what? The cabinet's 150. The head was like 75. It's like, man, I'm getting old. I want something nice and light.
Right, but
travel.
But if you guys were to ever play out of the country, when it comes to equipment, not your guitars and stuff like that, but you would rent them from local vendors, right?
If it's a festival, they provide the backline.
Yeah, they would have that, but I'm just saying, for here, because
okay.
I want to play here too.
No, I'd love.
I want to play. Matter of fact, we're gonna come and warm you guys up when you guys play.
You're gonna have to teach us how to practice first.
Yes.
Oh, Mark will teach you how to practice.
I think both bands have a lot to learn from each other.
That's right. We could all help each other out. Be perfect.
Let's go.
Well,
that's what bands are supposed to do. We're all supposed to be helping each other.
Yes.
It's a
Remember
community,
when-
man.
That's it.
Yeah. Remember when the guy used to break a string? You used to let him use your backup bass. You know, no big deal. Didn't even bat an eye, man. Ain't like that no more. Now they're like, you broke a string.
Now
That's when you take your basing and knock him over the head with it and be like, "Hi, I'm going home with your girlfriend. Bye."
Damn. Yes, and you know, and I could, since it doesn't have a head, I could put it.
Moving right along.
Now Wayne mentioned power metal and stuff. So what are the things, we didn't know we were power metal. In fact, back in the 80s, I have a Metal Rendezvous magazine cover where they listed power metal bands as being basically thrash bands. Anthrax and Overkill, they were listing them as
United States power metal. There's two different kinds. There's European and there's United States.
But what they thought was power metal was thrash at the time. So we didn't realize what we were until we basically got back together again and we started hearing about this power metal thing. And then of course US power metal doesn't have the keyboards. It's not happy metal like a lot of European stuff. But what we've always done in all of our albums is mix it up dynamically. It's all about dynamics. Not only from song to song, but within the song.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
So, and that's especially true with Awaken the Fury. I like to say there's a few extra layers to it, so it takes a few extra listens for all to sink in, and then bam, all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's how it's been with a lot of the critics. So there's just extra. That's what makes us stand out, I think, from a lot of bands is that we've got the dynamics, we mix it up. We were, especially John and George, influenced by the best of the 70s and 80s, musicians. And we just bring it all together in a way that a lot of bands either are too young to know to do or have forgotten how to do, or just because they're more thrash, they don't have that flexibility. So that's what helps make it unique, is the dynamics both within the song and from song to song.
But one band that I think I could draw a complimentary comparison with for Overlord, the first Queensryche EP, and you guys even did a cover of Queen of the Reich, which I remember, Mark, you played it for me, and I loved it. But Queensryche, for all intents and purposes, is a they get labeled progressive metal, although I would say Queen of the Reich is probably as American power metal as you can get.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say that, it sounds like that was one of the key influences of Overlord. And if I'm out of line, tell me.
Well, I know I was influenced by Queensryche. I started listening to proper metal. When I say proper, I mean not Rush or UFO.
Like Iron Maiden and Priest.
Well, yeah, Priest, actually the first two albums I ever bought were Unleashed in the East and the debut Iron Maiden. They were the first two proper metal albums. I bought them the same night. And yeah, so in
Can't go wrong with that.
Black Sabbath 1, baby.
And so it was 1980, and I forget where I was going with that, what you had asked me, but it just
influences.
Was that what you asked, Lou? I forget.
It was just drawing the comparisons between Overlord and the first EP, Queensryche.
Right. So, Queensryche came out, a couple of years after that, like 82?
83, I think, because Warning came out 84.
Yeah. So, definitely got the EP when it first came out. It definitely was one of those bands that just clicked with me. John, I think you loved them too, right?
Yeah, they're very good. Very good. Yeah, got to see him at L'Amour's. Stood right in front of Tate, singing with them.
I was there.
Yeah, it was like 15 people in the place. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was like Wednesday or Thursday night. Nobody was there. I was like, man, people don't know about these guys. These guys are great,
My brother got to see, my late brother Mikey, God rest his soul, got to see them at L'Amour East in Queens on the Rage for Order tour.
Oh, wow.
And there's actual bootleg video of it that made it to YouTube. And, the one question that I have, other than how good they sounded, was how in the hell did they fit Scott Rockenfield's drums on that riser with remember he had the tubes with the chains going on and everything. That was that. George, did that scare you as a drummer seeing that?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I mean, that stuff was amazing. I did get to see them a few times. And Scott just he's amazing. He really is. So
Yeah, definitely. Wayne?
He's Scott is a total wreck right now too. Him and Queensryche are not getting along very well. And Scott thinks, well, he does still own like part of the name, and he's trying to he's put out all this merchandise with the band's name on it, even the new album stuff. It's very weird. A lot of weird stuff's going on with
Yeah,
that guy.
that
something
stuff
happened. They
sucks.
let him go, or they fired him, or something.
He left on like maternity leave or whatever, but he
Yeah.
never came back.
He had a baby.
Not him personally, but his
He'd
wife.
make a wonderful mother.
Well, I thought they because he went out, they fired him. They didn't want him to come back. So
No,
that's
they were
what
waiting
happened.
for him to come back, and apparently he just never said when he was coming back, and they just moved
I
on without him.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
Troy
strange.
Luccketta of Tesla had an easier break from the band than Scott did with Queensryche, because Troy's like, no, I wanted to stay home. So, they got replaced him with Wild Mick Brown of Dokken, his brother Steve Brown. He's the new drummer in Tesla. So at least that was a clean break. But Queensryche,
Well, what are
get your stuff together, guys. Jeez.
two original members left, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Michael Wilton and Eddie Jackson. That's it.
Yeah, Queensryche went through a whole lot of drama, man. For me, just let me listen to the music. I don't, stop with this bullshit. Just play your
Yeah.
music, put out the album, let me hear it, let me see it.
Yeah, like
What's
when
the
you
drama stuff, man.
I agree. Like when you highly publicize like your dirty laundry, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry, for me that's a huge turnoff.
It
But
is. It really is.
Yeah, you don't really want to see the beyond the scenes of the behind the scenes of a band, really. You just want to have that mystical, mysterious thing about a band. Like Ozzy, he's like the Prince of Darkness, and he's biting heads off of bats, but then you see them on MTV and he's like a bumbling fool. I don't want to see that,
It's true.
yeah, sometimes lack of transparency is a very
yeah, just
good
keep
thing.
me in the dark about all that stuff. To me, Ozzy was cool. I mean, he still is, but
No, he's not.
not now.
Obviously, you guys have a little problem going on here.
No, but part of our charm is the fact that Wayne and I do air our grievances to each other all the time. It makes for great podcasting.
Yeah, keeps the show going. All right. Anything else? Because I actually have another interview on freeworld.fm.
I guess we're ready to wrap it up, but just wanted to give you guys a chance to say, if people wanted to find out more about Overlorde, where can they find you on the internet?
Good. So overlorde.com, and remember that E at the end, Overlorde with an E at the end.com.
Yes, look for that E.
And links to all the social media there. Join up the fan club, or get on the press release list. Links to all the streaming sites, how to buy the album. Yeah, and like I said too, No Remorse is also reissuing the 1987 EP later this year. I just got done approving the graphics. We've done high quality scans. They had extended liner notes, and we've got actually 3 bonus tracks of songs that nobody's ever heard before. They're not just live versions of other stuff. They're songs that we never got to release on studio form. So it's a nice little bit bonus for that. So people were bugging us, when you're going to put out the EP, because it was never on CD. It was only on vinyl at the time when we self-released it. So now it'll be on vinyl, it'll be on CD, and before the end of the year. So,
well, we'd love to have you guys back on to discuss it once it comes out. And listen, seriously, sign up for their social media. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. And I also want to put over the fact that Overlorde is one of the few bands, to show how, the fact that these guys are old school metal guys, and, they really try to keep their fans informed. They're one of the few bands with an email list. So sign up so you could get information about what's going on with them. They may be coming to your town and you don't know it, but you will know if you sign up to their emails. So do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Make sure you always hit that follow button on their, on the streaming services and everything too. That way you know when their releases are released. Right, Lou?
there you go.
And buy the physical media. It keeps the bands going.
Media. Yeah.
There you go. And the t-shirts, like John's wearing the t-shirts.
Look at
Are
that
there any
beautiful shirt.
t-shirts left, Mark?
There's here in the United States, we've got only mediums left, but in Europe, out of the No Remorse web store and their physical store in Athens, they still have all the different sizes.
Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well,
All right,
Lou,
guys.
Wayne, you guys rock, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for
Thank you
having
very
us.
much for coming on the show. I had a lot of fun. You guys are a lot of fun.
And we are going to hold you to miking up George's drums.
Please contact me.
We're
I will
gonna,
help you.
we're
I
gonna
promise.
drag
will.
you. I'm gonna drive up, drag you down to Lake Atworth, and we're gonna do it.
Do it, man. Tell
Mark,
me.
John, George, thank
Thanks,
you guys
Ryan.
so
Thanks, Lou.
much.
All right.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Good seeing you
Thank
guys,
so
man.
much.
Thank
You
you
guys are
so
great.
much.
Thanks.
RatsawReview.com, Overlorde.com, and SeveredAngel.com. Check them out.
Yep. Always hit that subscribe button. And we will see you guys next week. Until then, goodbye.
Peace out.
Cheers.